I'm joined now by Sarah Cruddas, who's an astrophysicist, journalist and presenter. What do you think of this, Sarah?
Well, obviously, it's not great, but I think we've got to put it into perspective. We've only been going into space for 50 or 60 years. I think people just assume that space is safe and that, you know, we just take so many things for granted to do with space travel because everything in our everyday life, such as mobile phones, technology, TVs, it all relies on space. And when an accident happens, it's suddenly a shock. But actually, things like this are quite commonplace. I mean, what has happened is that NASA stopped sending humans into space in 2011 with the final flight of the space shuttle. Since then, they've been relying on the Russians to get humans into space, and then for other missions, they're now looking to commercial partners. They're investing, the US government is investing billions of dollars with commercial partners. The launch we saw yesterday, which exploded, was with one of those commercial partners. Yes, it is using fairly old technology, but actually the technology is tried and tested. So the technology is safe, it's very simple as well, and it's just an unfortunate accident. I think it's important to remember that no one was killed, no one was injured, and yes, we lost a lot of science, around $200 million worth of resources and experiments and equipment was lost, but accidents do happen, they will continue to happen.
And supplies still reach the International Space Station,
yeah, there was
courtesy
another
of the Russians again.
Exactly, and actually the Russian Soyuz rockets, which we use to get humans into space at the moment, have been flying since the 1960s. It's really old technology, but it works, it's really good, so sometimes the simplest is the best.
You mentioned the science there that was on board. There were kids' experiments destined for space on here, but also something very important as well. What was that?
Yeah, there was something to do with Planetary Resources Limited, which it just sounds like science fiction, but basically the guys behind Google, also some other very rich Americans are working in a company and their aim is to mine asteroids, which just sounds ridiculous, but the asteroid belt between the planet Mars and the planet Jupiter, so it's a broken up rocky kind of like belt, it's got resources there which people believe are worth billions. So one of the satellites, which is piggybacking on this launch, so behind the main vehicle, was actually going to go and orbit the Earth to look out at those satellites and look out at those asteroids and understand more about them, potential resources. So that was something which was lost as well.
What a big shame. Sarah, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.